Hope everybody's doing well today. I just wanted to show you my new Cervelo Caledonia. So the Caledonia has only been out for a couple months, and I had a really good bicycle before. I had a Specialized Tarmac. It was a very good bicycle, very good hill climber, fast bike, pretty comfortable. I was limited on the size of the tires. I could only go to 28s, and that was really stretching it. So the really great thing about the Caledonia is I went with the 32s, and actually I could go to the 35. So that's one really nice thing about the Caledonia is I can go to wider tires. Also, I'm a devoted Schwabe fan, but Schwabe didn't have any in stock in the 32s, so I went with the Continental 5000s, and I'll give you some experiences and what I felt just here in a minute. I just took a 20-mile ride, so that's why I'm breathing a little heavily. So one thing to mention, I'm about 215. If you put the gear on, the water bottles, everything, it's probably 220, 225, maybe pushing 230. This bicycle is tested at 100 kilos, 221 pounds, and I had several discussions with the folks at Inside Out Sports in Cary, North Carolina. They were pretty comfortable. Even talked to some of the folks at Cervelo, and they said that's just what it's tested at. We're comfortable. It's good for considerably higher than that. So far it's been very solid. I'm not a light rider. One of the big things I notice is if you look at the rear cassette, that has an 1832 rear cassette. Very, very low gearing. If you like climbing hills like I do on my ride today, I ascended over 1,100 feet or so. Now, the only thing to be aware of is in the small front sprocket, this bicycle, to prevent cross-chaining, will only go in 9th gear. So you can't get it down into 11th gear on the small sprocket to really dig in. But that's when you go to the big sprocket. And also what I've realized is in the big sprocket, this bicycle is a decent hill climber on moderate hills. So I took it out for a 20-mile ride this morning, and it was just too nice to stay inside. My experiences are that the bigger tires or wider tires give you a more compliant ride. The bicycle, the frame's very tight. The drivetrain's very tight. I really like that. The other thing I want to mention, this has Ultegra. Notice this has an Ultegra crank as well. What's happened in the past is I've purchased bicycles where it said Ultegra or whatever the spec was, and it had Ultegra for the shifters and derailleurs, but when you went with the crank, it was a different brand crank. So what I'm going to recommend to you is whatever system you go with the system that is all the way through Ultegra, 105, Dura-Ace. Make sure they're not putting in their own crank because typically it's not as tight as if you go Shimano Ultegra or whatever the system you go with. The other change that I made is I've always had problems with some of the oils. Like here's one oil right here, this Triflow, and it just seems to attract dirt like moths to light. And if you look at this, I've ridden this 3 times and look how clean this is. So what I did is I made a change, and I don't have very much experience, but I tried this ceramic wax chain lube, and so far so good. It's just been super clean. So what I'll say in summary, very tight, rides very comfortably. With the Caledonia 5, you've got the cables that are all internal, so it's really neat up here. I've got the carbon handlebar, so that feels really good. So it's a good, compliant bike, but at the same time, it's a fast bike. The other thing I notice in being that you only go into 9th gear in the lower sprocket is my RPMs are up, cadence is up, is what I should say. And actually, that's better for your knees and for your legs, is to keep your cadence up, I think about 80 or 85. So overall, I would say a very good bicycle. Very tight. I'm very impressed. So I just want to give a shout out to the help from the folks at Inside Out Sports in Cary, North Carolina, because they were just super, super helpful showing me this bicycle. The only thing it's going to take some time to get used to is only being able to go to 9th gear on the lower front sprocket. So hope you're all having a great day. Catch you later.